What's up guys, how's it going? I think a handful of you, maybe 10 or 12, have seen the last two videos where I announced the latest addition to my family, a 2008 Lexus ISF. Not too many of you saw that video, but for those that did and for those that are tuning in now, today I'm going to talk about the plans I have for this car. And just to clear the air, a bunch of people, I'd say about 90% of the people that watched the video, so I think 12 people saw it, so about 10 people pointed out that the passenger front door is a different color than the rest of the car. Well, you're wrong. Well, you're right, but also wrong. It's the front passenger door and fender are a different color. Apparently this car was in a car accident, and in the right light and the perfect angle, with your own eyes, you can barely see that it is a different shade. But it shows up better on camera, which is really interesting because in the last video where I did the walk around, I was looking right at the car and I said, wow, the camera makes it look even better. And I didn't even notice it. Like, I was looking at the car and didn't notice that it was a different color, but all of you pointed that out. And you're right. In the right angle, in the right light, you can see it. Looking at the car right now, at the bottom of the door, from where I'm sitting, you can't tell, but at the top of the door, you can see it. It's really weird. I think they just are slightly off with the amount of metallic flake in the paint. It's not a big deal to me, because, you know, you don't notice it when you're going down the road and having fun in the car. And have you seen the Supra? A slightly miscolored door is not a big deal to me. And I believe Ryan over at Pure Function, his Supra is a bunch of different silvers too, whether that's from the factory or not. He's got the same problem too, so not a big deal to me. But anyway, let's talk about my plans for this car. Now, I said a couple videos ago when I was talking about how I'm selling the Subaru and the newest car that I'm going to get, there aren't many things I can do. Well, that is true about this car, unfortunately. It is an amazing car right from the factory. Sure, there's some things that can be improved upon, but, you know, for my taste and my personality, there isn't a whole lot that needs done. The F does come on factory lowering springs, so this car does sit lower than the IS 250 and 350. To me, the stance is perfect. The front is a smidge higher than the rear, so I really like the ride height of the rear. The front is a little too high for me. If there was a way to lower the front, maybe a quarter or half an inch, I would do that. Probably the only way to do that is coilovers, and I'm just not a coilovers person. I've never done them to any of my cars. I just think they're overkill and a lot of money, and there isn't really a need for all that adjustability for the things that I do. That's why I've always just done nice shocks, struts, and springs. So I'm not going to do coilovers to this car. If there was like a quarter inch or half inch drop spring, I might do that. But, you know, I'm not going to do shocks and struts to this. I'm not going to put on like Coney adjustables or anything like that. I'm not going to do eye-box springs. So I'm not really going to lower the car unless there's a tiny drop spring for the front. It does not need brakes. And now I know Poor Man Mods is basically brake man mods. Like, the majority of the videos that we do are brake related. We've done a bunch of big brake kits and, you know, upgrading pads and rotors and proving or disproving the brakes with my Subaru. We've done a ton of brake videos. But actually, I don't need to do any to this car. It's got 6-piston Brembos up front and 2 or 4 piston in the rear. The car stops incredible. Like, it does not need to be improved at all. The pedal feel, to me, is great. I don't even need to do stainless steel braided lines. So, at least for the time being, I'm not going to upgrade the brakes. It stops better than any car that I've ever driven before. So, yeah, there isn't really a need to do that. It stops better than the IS 300, and that car's a lot lighter with 4-piston Brembos up front, or whatever those are. So, I'm not going to do brakes. I'm not going to lower it. What the heck am I going to do to this car? So, there's only a handful of like big mods that I want to do to this thing. One big issue with this 2008 I believe 2008 and 9, they came with an open differential. They use electronic computers and all that stuff to kind of fake it, like torque vectoring or whatever they want to call it. I haven't had any driving related issues with it yet, being an open rear, but I don't like the fact that it is an open rear, and this is going to be my daily driver. So next winter, when my IS300 is most likely gone, I will be driving this in the snow with snow tires, and I don't want to have an open diff. So I would like to do a limited slip at some point, whether I do a entire limited slip pumpkin from a newer ISF, or if I get, you know, maybe a cause differential or something and actually put that in the pumpkin that's in the car. Either way, we're looking at a few $1,000s for that upgrade. So that's not going to happen soon, but that is something big and major that I want to do to this car. The only other big expensive modification I want to do is headers. Some of you know I do work part-time at Sicky Manufacturing, and basically I want to do all the Sicky goodies for this car. So right now Sicky offers an intake tube for this car. It just replaces the factory tube. It doesn't modify the airbox. I want to do that. I want to do the Sicky sway bars front and rear, and I want to do the headers. The headers, just bolting on the headers, nothing else. You get like 40 horsepower to the wheels. That's 10% more power out of this thing, which is pretty impressive. The stock manifolds are awful. And not including installation, the headers are like 1,800 bucks. And I filmed the install for Sicky down there, and you know, James is experienced with doing that, and it still took us 8 hours. So I don't know. It is a son of a bitch of a job, and you kind of need two like twisting pole jack stands for underneath the lift because you need to support the crank pulley and lower and raise the subframe. It is a huge job, and I really don't know if I want to do the install. If I just buy the headers, that's like 1,800, but if I have Sicky install it, it's like 3,500 for that. I'm not sure what I want to do about that yet. I'm capable of doing the headers, but I just don't know if I feel like doing it. It really does suck. Sway bars are easy though. I filmed the install for that too, and it's really not that bad doing the sway bars, and they help out a lot. So I want to do all the Sicky goodies to this. I believe they're making more parts for the car too, but I can't disclose that information yet. But pretty much whatever Sicky makes, I want to put on this car. I want to do short term for the exhaust. I want to delete the mufflers. Catback exhausts for this car are pretty expensive. You know, a lot of newer cars, the exhausts are getting really expensive. Like the new Mustang GT, you can't really find a decent catback for under $1,000, and that is just insane. I mean, the catback exhaust we installed on the R32 on this channel, we installed a Tomy TI titanium, hand TIG welded titanium, made in Japan catback exhaust, and that was under $1,000, and it's titanium for the GTR. But your Borla catback for this thing is, I believe it's $1,000 or more. So I'm not going to do that just yet. I would like to do a nice catback, but I think for now I'm just going to delete the mufflers. I'm definitely going to do a poor man mod on that. So the mufflers will be gone. And when I do the headers, that deletes 2 cats, and the car does get a lot louder with just the headers. So I'm thinking with the muffler delete and then the headers, the car might be a little bit too loud for my taste, so then I might need to do a catback exhaust at that point. And I'll probably go with Borla because that's on the lower end. And yeah, other than that, maybe a couple cosmetic things, maybe lips, or side skirts, things like that. But other than that, there aren't any really big plans for it. LED all the things, of course. I gotta do my LEDs. That's probably the first thing I'm gonna do to this car. But other than that, there isn't much that I want to do that I can do. I mean, there aren't many engine performance modifications to this car. The engine is already fantastic, but it's also so rare that not many companies make things for it, so the aftermarket is limited for this car. You know, like, as far as I've seen, no one makes cams for it or anything like that, because everything that's in the engine is already stellar. Like, if you look up cams for this, the factory ones, they're fully polished, like 100%. It's crazy. So yeah, really only two big mods, and that's the limited slip and the headers. And yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of little things here and there, but nothing too crazy. I do want to do a video comparing this to the IS300 because this is the younger, bigger brother, and I would like to compare them side by side, or as side by side as I can. I think that'll be interesting. So you can look forward to a video on that. And yeah, so I'll get these videos cranking out as fast as I can for you guys, but if I get them cranked out fast, there might not be a whole lot left to do because I don't have many plans for it. The car's already amazing. So I hope you guys are excited for the few plans I have for this car. I hope you guys do like this car. And yeah, for those of you that made it to the end of this video, I appreciate you sticking around. And yeah, I will see you next time. Peace.